Hello everyone, I am Punyakirti BL. Welcome to my Python for Generative AI learning series. In this series, we are focusing on Python basics that will help us building a strong foundation for implementing generative AI concepts. So let's dive in and start today's session. So today's topic is getting user input in Python. Let's understand why user input matters. Programs without input are static. They always run the same way. Input makes programs interactive and dynamic. For example, chatbot waiting for a question, AI assistant asking for user preferences. So, how we are implementing this in Python? Using the input function. Input function is a built-in Python function to capture user input. How it works? First, it displays a prompt message. It's an optional. It pauses the program until the user types something and presses enter. And then it will store the entered data as a string. Let's understand with example with basic input. So I have a command variable which is assigned with input. Input is a function. If you are able to see here, it is a read string from standard input. Ask your AI assistant a question. This is a prompt which is prompted to the user from the input function. Once I run this, so now you are able to see our program is running and it is ask your AI assistant a question, prompt will be given, and after that we have a text box. This is a prompt input function, which input box which we can add our question. So what our question I am asking, what is a what is a so I will type how are you. Just I am asking an AI assistant how are you, and when I type that one and when I enter, your question was how are you. This is my question whichever given input, and that will processed. How it is working? The program waits for the user input, stores it in command and prints it back. This is how we implement it. Let's understand input always returns a string. Regardless of what the user types like text, numbers, symbols, the result is always a string. How to understand that one? Let's take this example. So I have a code, and here training hours is a variable which is assigned with input. That function prompts to enter hours spent training the model. Then when I run this, I am entering a value called 28. It is a numeric, but when I check with type of training hours, it is printing as string. By this we can understand input function 100% returns string value. Understood? So now next we can go with the examples. Even if the user enters any number, Python treats it as string. Why conversion is needed? Strings cannot be directly used in mathematical operations. If you try, Python throws a type error. So when we enter an input function and we use that input function in our mathematical operations, it throws an exception. We can understand it by one of the example. What is the example here? This one. So iterations is a variable. I am taking this one input, enter the number of model iterations, and we have datasets as a variable which is assigned with input with a prompt, enter the number of datasets. Total is equal to iterations into datasets. It will give an error, but how it will give error, let's run and you can see. So I have a getting number, I have 8 iterations I am entering. Next input will be datasets, it will be 3 datasets, 8 into 3, it should print 24, but it is throwing exception. What exception it is throwing? Let's see. Type error, can't multiply sequence by non-int of type, because string is returned by input variable, input function, and this input function whatever return we are using in mathematical operations, that's why it is throwing the exception. So converting input to numbers, we have exception, right? How to handle that one? So use casting functions, converting input to numbers. We have int as a casting function which is helps us to convert to integer, any string to integer. Float is a casting function which convert to decimal. So let's understand this the same function. What I am doing, let's add int. So int is the function which we can add. This is the function int. I can do like this. Iterations I will read. So before calculations, I will add like this int of iterations. Okay, then iterations is equal to int. Then datasets I'm reading and I'm giving it as float of datasets. Okay, total is equal to iterations into datasets. Now it should not give error. Let's understand. Now enter number. I have 2 iterations with 4, this one, so 4 into 2 we got. Okay, correct conversion we added. If user enters any number, output will be this one. So for cleaner code, rather than with inline conversion, we can do. What is inline conversion? We can understand. So what we are doing with example. Rather than using a variable for before the age is assigned, we will get the input with prompt that is passed to int function. Once it is done, you can enter and we can pi value can be calculated. Okay, now we can see what is the age 2. Enter the approximate value for 3.14. See, we are not getting any error because we are able to get. So this is why inline conversion. Let's understand next topic, common mistakes and tips. Forgetting that input returns a string. Performing arithmetic without conversion. Okay, these are the common mistakes. Always convert input if numbers are required. Use int or float casting functions directly inside input for cleaner code. Let's start with quick summary. So input collects user inputs and it returns always as a string. Add a prompt for clarity. Prompt is the input for the function. Convert using int or float cached functions when doing mathematics. Makes programs interactive and closer to real world application. What is the next topic? String operations, indexing, slicing and concatenating. Thank you for watching today's session of the Python for Generative AI learning series. If you find this helpful, please subscribe to my channel for more videos. Also feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. The link is in the description. See you in the next session. Thank you very much.